Hi there, my name is Catherine Getzky and I am the founder of iFred and Hopeful Minds, and I'm so grateful that you're listening in on this. And first I want to take a minute to honor really all the parents and teachers out there that are just managing through this very complicated and challenging time for our kids. We know that change causes a lot, and uncertainty causes a lot of uneasiness and a lot of stress, and our kids and our parents and teachers and school administrators are at an all-time stressed out high with a lot of unknowns, and really our ability to kind of navigate those unknowns are going to determine how well we kind of get through this crisis time. And so I just wanted to take a minute and introduce a new program that we're launching called Hopeful Minds. It's actually not a new program, but it's a lot of updates to an existing program, and it's taking a lot of the current events that are happening and embedding that into our curriculum itself. And I wanted to share with you a little bit first about what hope is. So I'm going to share my screen and pull up a presentation I have on Hopeful Minds and what hope is. So now more than ever, we've really got to start teaching these skills for hope, really, which is helping kids manage and navigate through these times, and really not just kids, but adults as well. It's kind of, all of this is really unprecedented, and how well we kind of work to get through this and deal with change and continue to evolve as we learn new information is going to really be dependent on how we do with our mental health in the future. And we know that anxiety and depression are at all-time highs with kids right now especially, and all of this happening is going to have a significant impact on their mental health unless we're really proactive about that. And so that's kind of what Hopeful Minds is about. All kids need is a little help, a little hope, and somebody who believes in them. We love that quote by Magic Johnson, and it's so very true. So the first thing I just want to make clear is hope is teachable. So, and it impacts everything we do. It's a universal concept. We're using our program around the world. It's pretty easily understood in most cultures. And so we're the first program to really operationalize hope. So we took the theory around hope, what hope is, what makes up a hopeful mind, and we took it and we learned how to teach it, how to actually increase hope in young kids. So I want to just share some of the things that hope are related to. It's actually predictive of your grades more so than your IQ. I'll show you, we have all this research on our website so you can look at it and share with others. Our Hopeful Minds program meets social and emotional learning guidelines. So a lot of states have SEL standards. It's an innovative way to address bullying, violence, racism, suicide, and mental health. And I'll talk more about that as we go through this. And it not only meets, but it teaches the National Health Education Standards. Now, the National Health Education Standards are mandated by the CDC. They're a nationwide standard that is set, and kids are tested on these standards at the 2nd, the 5th, the 8th, and the 12th grade lessons. So we've revised our curriculum. We have a 2nd grade and a 5th grade program that we kind of focus on, but really you can use our program with any age range. You just kind of have to adopt the language and some of the exercises around it. We really wanted to get the program solidified for kids under the age of 10 before we started expanding to other ages, but we really encourage you, no matter what ages you're teaching, to download our curriculum. It's free, it's available to anyone, and to read through it. We also have a parent's guide that I'll talk about, but that helps parents understand what hope is and how to use hopeful language at home with kids to re-emphasize the concepts that we teach in our program. So our program also uses a trauma-informed approach. So kids often can't control what's happening in their environments, unfortunately. They can talk to trusted adults, but there's a lot they experience, and teaching them emotional management techniques is a really powerful way, and teaching them kind of how to control the controllables is a really empowering thing for young kids. So learning how to kind of control their own emotional response no matter what's going on around them can help them pretty significantly. And so it's really, it integrates both health and mental health, kind of mind and body, our program does. So I'm excited to talk about it. This is just some information for administrators. If you're thinking about doing HOPE, 1 million students in the US participated in the 2015 Gallup poll. 80% were surveyed strongly agreed that they would graduate high school, but only 50% strongly agreed that they could figure out ways to get good grades. So we need to kind of teach these skills to kind of how to get good grades, and we kind of do that in our program a bit. And when they have the will and the ways to achieve their dreams, they're more likely to reach their goals and have hope for the futures. Superintendents are unanimous in their opinion that engagement, hope, like specifically hope and graduation rates are very important measures of school effectiveness, and we know that in the research as well. Students who are engaged, involved in, and enthusiastic about school are more likely to be hopeful for the future and have better self-reported academic performance than their actively disengaged peers. And as we know with everything that's going on right now with COVID, kids are very disengaged, and so I think we really want to do our best to set the school years off right to how can they have a hopeful mindset, and we talk about that in our program and in the first lesson. How can they have a hopeful mindset going into this school year with all of the changes that have happened? So that's really the kind of the concept behind why we do Hopeful Minds. It's based on the research around hopelessness, and hopelessness, the impact on students, and it's severely negative impact. So hopelessness is predictive of anxiety, depression, and suicide. It's also predictive of addiction, fighting, weapon carrying on school property, dropping out of school. So hopelessness has a really severely negative impact on kids. And I'll just go back to this one in 50%, and this is kind of last year. So before all of this has happened, 50% of inner city youth feel hopeless on a regular basis. So that is a pretty shocking statistic. And when you think that hopelessness, then kind of the outcome of hopelessness are all of these things, you can understand why we really need to address hopelessness. Hopelessness is also a consequence of race-related discrimination and bullying, and hopelessness is very high in the LGBTQ community. Over 65% of this population feels hopeless on a regular basis, and a lot of kids right now are feeling hopeless around COVID and what can they control? They're not seeing their friends, they're on Zoom, they're maybe heading back to classrooms, but very worried about all the safety and all of the protocols in place, and are they going to get sick? So there's a lot of hopelessness with these kids. And I'll say too, hopelessness is defined as a feeling of despair and a sense of helplessness. So it's both a negative feeling and an inability to act. So when we address hope, we address both of those things. We address the despair and we address the helplessness. The great news is hope is teachable, so we can teach these skills, and hope is a known protective factor against anxiety, depression, suicide. So if we can increase levels of hope in these young kids, we can have a significant positive impact, not just on their mental health, but all of these things: better grades, increased attendance, they have better sports performance, they're more focused, they're more engaged in class, they have stronger friendships, better problem solving skills, more creative. These are just a couple things. Again, on our website, we have a lot of the research around hope and hopelessness. So it is an independent variable, and that means once you impact hope, you impact all of these other things. So we did research with Ulster University in Northern Ireland, and as we increased hope, we increased the resilience, reduced depression, anxiety, reduced a negative emotion, we increased positive emotion, their emotional control, social support seeking, self-care, all kinds of things. And we ran focus groups, and the kids love the program. They want everyone to have the program, and they really should. The BBC also did a documentary and gave some real life examples of how they then applied the hope skills to their life and how it impacted how they engaged. So, and this was based on our research we had 12 lessons at the time. We've now moved these 12 to 16 lessons. We'll be updating these on our website in the next probably 1 to 2 weeks. We also have a consolidated 3-lesson curriculum that gives the overview of hope. Again, hope impacts everything. Workplace safety, there's a lot of research on how hopeful you are and how safe you're more likely to get hurt the more hopeless you are. So addiction, medication, and enhanced lifespan, your level of hope will actually predict and influences your lifespan. Diversity and inclusion, and it predicts economic outcomes. So all kinds of things. And again, weapon carrying at school, you know, when we talk about addressing violence on school properties, we don't want to just restrict access to means, which is an effective approach. We also want to address the reason that they feel the need to carry weapons, and it's usually a very deep sense of hopelessness. And again, we can teach these skills. So, you know, and hopelessness isn't a student's fault. It's a learned behavior. It's a consequence of things like discrimination, abuse, neglect, trauma, bullying. It's really a learned behavior. There are a number of things but we all on some level feel hopeless about different things, or can feel hopeless. And it's our ability to kind of recognize that and then use strategies to get to hope that makes it so powerful. So it is learned, but it can be reversed. And again, it's a feeling of despair and a sense of helplessness. You know, so 2 things make up hopelessness: despair and then helplessness. So feeling and action. And so that is really how we address hope and address teaching hope. We address the feeling state of the student and then the action state. So hope is really having an expectation that is both desired and possible. So we have a good feeling about something, and then we also believe that we can do it, and it's realistic. So I'll talk more about that. Again, it's a universal concept that can be easily understood in most cultures. Dr. Myron Belfer is a Harvard catalyst. He is a dear mentor, and he's been a part of this and the research and behind hope overall as a construct, and he's been really helping to kind of solidify our thinking around it and how we approach hope. So, you know, again, our program is free, hopefulminds.org. It's available to anyone can download it. If you're a parent, you can teach the lessons to your kids, and we do have a parent guide. So if teachers going back to school want to teach kids about hope, they can teach it, and they can also send the parents guide. We also have a mental health handout where we talk about how, you know, hope, persistent feelings of hopelessness can lead to anxiety, depression, all of these, and what to look out for with your kids, and then how to proactively address it. You know, kids are under severe stress right now, as are adults, and it's our ability to kind of surf. You know, it's not the stress that hurts us, it's how we manage stress. And one of the key things in our program is we have a physiological response to stress. Like when we're triggered by something, if someone triggers us, says something, or we feel violated in any way, we have a 90-second physiological response. So if we can get our body to stop for 90 seconds instead of reacting, we can have a significant impact on our experience. And that's one of the key things we teach kids, is like how to get the brain from the reptilian reactive part into the more evolved creative thinking, problem solving part of the brain. So each of the lessons plan with critical thinking questions. We have an activities. Again, it meets SEL standard guidelines, national health education standards, which is a big deal. And usually kind of mental health or social emotional learning or mental health type curriculums go through social emotional learning. Ours it really meets the national health education standards. It's a different approach to mental health. We don't talk to kids about depression, anxiety, and suicide. We talk to them about the power of hope and how we want to aspire to be hopeful, how great it is to be hopeful, how hope like improved Magic Johnson's life tremendously. We have Michelle Obama, we have John Krasinski with Some Good News, if you saw that episode, but how hope was key to those. We also, in our 16 lessons, we have a lot with George Bush. We talk about hope and his use of art. Zach Williams, the son of the late Robin Williams, how he has used hope. So we have a lot of different people that we're featuring and highlighting in each lesson, showcasing real life strategies for how they're using hope. So the first section we have are 3 lessons, and I would suggest everyone do that with their classrooms first, no matter what age. It's the first lesson is the what, the why of hope. What is hope? Why is it important? And some skills. The second is really the how of hope, the positive feelings. How do you get from negative feelings to positive feelings? And not good or bad feelings. Feelings just are. We need to talk about our sadness. We need to talk about our rage. We need to talk about these feelings that we're experiencing. And yet the negative energy associated with these feelings have to be released before we act, so that we get back into the upstairs brain, as we refer to it with kids, and back to the creative and problem solving part of life, and of being able to tackle the many challenges that we have. So and then the third lesson we talk about hopelessness, kind of what it is, rumination, worry, some things that really exacerbate hopelessness, how to stop them. And then we talk about creating a hope network, which is key. We know kids need connection. They need people that they trust, can count on, can go to when they have challenges. And kids need to identify those people and recognize, so that when they have challenges, they have their hope network already established. So those are the 3 lessons that we have. They're an hour long each. Again, they're free. Anyone can use them. We're constantly right now updating them. We have some COVID related stuff in the curriculum itself. You can use it with remote learning, or you can use it in the classroom. We've kind of adopted it so that it can be used anyway. You just have to make some slight modifications. And then we have a 16 lesson curriculum. Again, we're finishing that right now. That goes really deep into the concepts around hope, and the exercises and the stories, and how people are using hope in their lives. We have hope heroes in every lesson. And again, the target is 5th grade, but you can modify and adapt for any age range. And we, highly recommend and suggest that you do. And then we give a lot of background information for teachers, how the brain and body is connected, some of the latest research around heart rate variability, how that actually drops when we become stressed and we constrict and stop breathing, and how the simple act of breathing and taking that 90-second pause can have a really significant impact, and just a lot of the language. So we do a lot with this updated curriculum about educating educators about how to talk to their kids about it. So I have an incredible advisory board. I've been so fortunate and lucky to work with some of the most amazing people in mental health. I have lived experience with depression, anxiety, an attempt of suicide in my early 20s. I lost my dad to suicide when I was 19 years old. And this is really in honor of him and all of the people that have supported my journey of healing and recovery. And, what I wish that I had known as a young kid, and just how it would have really changed my own life. And so this is really had a great team of advisors. And so I've been really lucky to learn from the best in the world. And I want to thank all the advisors for that. And I'm a business person by trade, and so I am researcher. My mind is a research, it allows to figure things out, and in a way that's sustainable. So we created the program that anyone could read it, anyone can teach it. It's scalable, it's cost effective. I didn't want cost to be a barrier. We know that hopelessness is very high in disadvantaged communities. And I think hope is a human right. I sincerely believe hope is a human right. It has to be free and available to all. And so that's how we created this program. And it's also, I want to be clear that everybody needs hope. You don't single any one child out to teach them hope. Each and every child needs to learn these skills. So it is a whole school approach, whole classroom approach. All the kids talk about hope. They all learn about it. And it's really a prevention focused model. So we try to teach these before the age of 10. So it kind of becomes ingrained in their way of being and thinking. And it becomes harder as they become teens. And, my long-term goal for the program is to have teens create a program and teach us how to teach them about hope. But, we can give them the science and the research about how do they really want to learn, and how is it going to be best embedded in who they are. So we have any teens out there, welcome your feedback. And so we know the return on investment is very high for prevention. It's a 4-to-1 for an intervention. So for every dollar you invest, you get $4 back. That number goes to 18 or higher when you focus on prevention in youth. So it's a very high return on investment in terms of long-term costs. And it's been presented around the world. So I'm really excited about the update for the program. It was featured as an innovation by the World Bank. The BBC, as I said, did a documentary. I've presented my story at the UN a few times and talked about the need to invest in mental health and the need to really focus on prevention overall. So yeah, a lot of really great people involved in it. And I appreciate you taking a look, and I do hope that we can, I hope that we can spread hope far and wide, and not just a wish. Hope is not a wish. Hope is both a positive feeling and an action. And we teach kids about taking smart action, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. And that's so important because, you know, you can't just hope to win the lottery. You have to feel good about winning the lottery, and then you have to actually be able to it has to be relevant and attainable, and not very attainable. So, you know, those are really the two key concepts about hope. So anyway, I hope you check it out. Let me just show you. I think that's, yeah, we've been, once you choose hope, anything's possible, right? Want to thank Sutter Health. Sutter Health has been a great supporter of our program, and my company's supported the initial seed funding to really develop the program. So I have to thank my company. Here is Hopeful Minds. The company is the Mood Factory. Here's hopefulminds.org. And this is where we have the BBC. You can look at the documentary. There's the curriculum itself, and you'll have to create a login. And we're trying to track who's using it, where they're using it, what they think of it. So promise we won't spam you. And then the why hope we talk about, and we've consolidated a lot of the hope research that's out there, how people are doing research around the world around hope itself, and like, what does hope impact? So if you want to look at any studies around hope, you can do that here. One thing I want to point out that's really encouraging is in a study of depression and anxiety in youth, students who expressed higher hope at the beginning of the study had lower measure of depression and anxiety. So higher hope will predict your future level of depression and anxiety. The reverse was not true, however. Symptoms of anxiety and depression had no effect on future levels of hope. And that is a really key concept. I can't stress that enough, especially for those of you with lived experience. Your current level of anxiety and depression does not predict your future levels of hope. So, you know, you can increase your hope, and then the higher you get in hope, the less likely you are to have recurring depression and anxiety. And that has definitely been the case with me. So I encourage you, all of you, to kind of check it out, check out what we know about hope. And thank you so much. Again, free, hopefulminds.org. I'm really excited about the updated curriculum. It is so much better. We've incorporated all that we've learned into it. And I really believe now more than ever, we need to teach these kids and really ourselves practice building our hope muscles ourselves. So thank you so much. Wishing you all a blessed day, and yeah, I hope you check it out, and look forward to seeing your strategies and worksheets and all that fun stuff. Thank you, and take care of this school year.